The day I had arranged to have dinner with my parents, we waited at the restaurant from afternoon until evening, but Jason never showed up. I called him, but not once did he pick up. Then I turned and saw that his first love had posted on social media. In the photo, she was smiling brightly in a car, wearing a familiar ring. The caption read, "Thank you, Mr. Jason, for the birthday gift. I love it." I stared at her post on Instagram and silently liked it. Later, I told him, "If you like her, then marry her." His eyes reddened slightly, his voice trembling, "You're my girlfriend." "Not anymore." That stopped the moment you gave her a ring instead of showing up that day. Before seeing Farah's post on Instagram, I was still trying to find excuses for his no-show. But now, the truth was right in front of me. I felt like I was suffocating, a sense of dying slowly. The ring she was wearing, I had seen it at home. It was tucked away in a corner of his wardrobe. At the time, I thought he finally had marriage plans, and I was eagerly waiting for that. I also thought that the dinner he arranged with my parents was to discuss marriage. But in the end, it was he who caused the gathering, and he who was the no-show. I looked at the photo she posted, my eyes stinging. It felt like something inside me was slowly collapsing. My mom noticed my change in mood and asked worriedly, "Is something wrong?" I forced a smile and said, "Let's not wait anymore. Let's eat." "Are you sure you don't want to wait a bit longer?" "No need. We won't be waiting anymore." I said it calmly and started eating. The food had long been served, but because we kept waiting for him, it had been reheated multiple times. Now that it was in front of me, it had lost the flavor it had when it was freshly made. My mom could sense something was off, but didn't ask further. My dad had already lost his patience. After a few bites, he took her and left. I grabbed my bag and left too, walking aimlessly down the street. It was already 10 at night, and the streets were almost empty. Even the traffic had visibly thinned out. At that moment, Jason's call came through. I ignored his call and took a taxi home. As soon as I entered the door, I heard his angry voice. "Where the hell have you been? Why are you coming back so late?" I froze for a moment, tightened my grip on my bag, and asked with a blank expression, "Do you remember what you promised me this morning?" This morning, when he left for work, I reminded him of our dinner plans, because I was afraid he'd forget. I wanted him to come early and make a good impression on my parents. He had smiled and said, "Of course, I won't forget. It's your parents we're meeting, such an important thing." Jason was stunned, a trace of guilt flashed in his eyes. He must have remembered what he had said earlier. He apologized, "Sorry, there were too many things at the company today. I forgot." He walked over to me, reaching out as if to hug me. I moved away, quietly avoiding him. But as he got closer, I could smell the faint scent of jasmine on him. It was the perfume Farah always wore. Jason's eyes flickered with surprise, as though he hadn't expected me to avoid him. "Are you angry?" I looked at him coldly and asked, "Did you really forget our plans today because of work? Are you doubting me?" His deep voice carried an undercurrent of displeasure. Seeing him like this, seemingly irritated, I suddenly felt like he was a stranger. Or perhaps, he had never shown me his real self before. I took a deep breath. "Let's break up, Jason." I've said his name countless times, but never once like I did just now, so calmly. Jason froze, his expression turning cold, his voice almost a growl. "What did you say?" We've always had a way of avoiding arguments, knowing when to stop and change the subject. Because fighting only hurts feelings. I didn't want to fight, but that didn't mean I could pretend forever. I said, "Let's break up. I'll give you your freedom." I thought this would be a dignified way to end things. There wouldn't be any messy scenes, no bitter resentments after we split. Jason didn't respond, his gaze lingering on my face for a long time. "You're going to make a fuss over something this small?" I met his gaze, silently walking to the bedroom. "You need to explain yourself. What exactly is this fuss about?" I ignored him and opened the wardrobe, pulling out all the clothes from the corner. Sure enough, the ring box he had hidden in that corner was gone. I pointed to the empty space, swallowing back the bitterness, and said, word by word, "Today, you were supposed to have dinner with my parents, but you spent the day with another woman, celebrating her birthday and giving her a meaningful ring. Jason, how do you expect me to feel?" I didn't intend to explain everything so clearly. But I didn't want to be labeled as unreasonable either. I might as well be straightforward. Jason wasn't concerned. He frowned and said coldly, "Not having dinner together today? I'll just arrange it again another time. As for the ring, it's just a piece of jewelry. Why are you so bothered about it? If you want one, I'll buy you a few more tomorrow." He always treated my issues as trivial. Because to him, anything that could be solved with money wasn't a big deal. I smirked sarcastically. "No need for that. Give them to whoever likes them." I had already decided on breaking up by the time I came back. Continuing like this wasn't worth it. Jason couldn't understand my thoughts. He said coldly, "Once you've calmed down, we can talk." Without waiting for me to say anything, he turned and walked out the door. I stood there silently, the stillness around me making me uneasy. I thought he'd agree right away. But instead, he chose to run away from this breakup. I suddenly felt disgusted. If he still had someone else he couldn't let go of, why keep me hanging, making everyone uncomfortable? I took a moment to calm myself down. Breaking up isn't like confessing. It doesn't require both people's agreement. Once the words were out, I had no reason to stay any longer. My parents are both high school teachers, and they were here for a conference. They would leave in 5 days. I didn't have anywhere to go, so I packed my things and moved to a hotel. When something is over, it should be over completely. Once I finished those tasks, I deleted all contact information for Jason. When I finally calmed down, I looked around at the unfamiliar environment and started thinking back to the past. I had been secretly in love with Jason for many years, but he never knew. He only knew that we went to the same university, and I was his junior. To him, I was just one of many junior students. In college, he was the student council president, outstanding and aloof, someone people couldn't reach. To be someone who could stand beside him, I changed my study habits, worked hard, and climbed from the bottom of the class to the top 3 in my department. I also found time to join the student council, just to be closer to him. After graduation, he took over the family business, and I became an inconspicuous employee at his company. Perhaps because I was his junior, he took care of me more. And I, lost in the idea of his favoritism, couldn't pull myself out. Thinking back on all this, I couldn't help but let out a self-deprecating smile. It wasn't until now that I realized something. If you dream too much, it's easy to lose sight of reality. While moving into the hotel, I was also searching for a new place to live. During this time, I continued going to work as usual. I was just a small employee at the company. As the CEO, Jason never really paid attention to my existence. But what I didn't expect was that the manager would bring explosive news in the afternoon. The assistant manager position, which I was almost certain to get, had been snatched away. "This is our department's new assistant manager, Farah. Let's all get along well with her from now on." At the manager's words, the atmosphere in the office froze. Everyone's gaze fell on me, some scrutinizing, some suspicious, and others just watching for the drama. I shot a cold look at her. Farah returned my gaze with a provoking look. It was as if she was saying that there was nothing she couldn't get if she wanted it. Whether it was Jason or the job. At that moment, Jason walked in with his assistant, his indifferent eyes sweeping across the office. When his eyes met mine, it was as though he was looking at a stranger, completely unmoved. He didn't say a word, but his silence made his stance clear. Seeing this, everyone applauded, welcoming her. When I was almost certain I would get the position, I had even invited him to dinner and joked that he should call me assistant manager. He couldn't have been unaware of how much I had longed for the day I would be promoted. It doesn't take much thinking to realize he was warning me. But what he didn't know was that the other company had already extended an olive branch to me a long time ago. And the job offer was permanent. Since I couldn't stay here any longer, I had to find another path. After the welcome, I immediately contacted the head of that company to explain my situation. I thought he would wait until my contract was over before recruiting me. But to my surprise, he offered to pay the penalty for breaking the contract and said I could start on Monday. I had been in the marketing department for 4 years, and many successful partnerships had been earned through my efforts in various business meetings. Therefore, I had access to a lot of resources. The other company saw this and was willing to pay a high price to recruit me. I didn't agree right away. Instead, I asked him for 2 days to think it over. I needed to plan my future carefully and couldn't make any blind decisions. When work ended that day, I was the first to pack up and leave. In the past, to be more efficient, I was always the last to leave. Some colleagues teased me, saying that since I didn't get promoted, I was just slacking off now. I smiled but didn't respond. What I didn't expect was that as soon as I stepped outside the company, I saw a car parked by the roadside. I pretended not to notice and walked toward the bus stop. Thera lowered the passenger side window and called out, "Isabel, come over, we're waiting for you." There were quite a few people from the company around, and they all turned to look at her when they heard her. Not wanting my colleagues to see, I walked over with a cold face. "Assistant manager, is there something you need?" At the mention of my title, she smiled. "This isn't the office, you can just call me by my name." Jason, sitting in the driver's seat, had an aloof expression, not sparing me a glance. His furrowed brow hinted at his impatience. "Get in the car, I'm starting my first day at work today, and I thought I'd invite you and Jason for a meal." "No need, I'm not hungry." I turned to leave. Jason shot me a cold glance. "Get in the car." I snorted coldly, ignoring him, and walked to the side of the road to hail a cab. Now that I was about to change jobs, I had to adjust my house search as well. Once in the cab, I started contacting real estate agents to help me look for a place. Until I found a suitable home, I'd have to make do with the hotel. After dinner, I went for a walk, hoping to find something nearby. But nothing ideal came up. After washing up and lying on the bed, I opened Instagram on my phone. I saw a post from Thera just 10 minutes ago. It was a photo of them having dinner at a restaurant. She didn't take a direct shot of Jason's face, but she did capture his hand with distinct knuckles. The watch on his wrist was very familiar to me. It was the first birthday gift I bought him with my first paycheck. The price didn't compare to his expensive collection of watches. But he said he liked it and often wore it. I used to think he genuinely liked that watch. Until last month, when I casually learned from his assistant that he wore it for convenience when dealing with certain special business partners. Because it was cheap and low-key. My gaze slowly drifted to her caption, "First day at work today, looking forward to working with you all." At the end of the caption was a bold flying kiss emoji. So romantic. I quietly tapped the like button and quickly removed her from my friend list. The next day, after getting ready for work, I opened my door and found a bouquet of bright roses on the floor. I frowned and kicked the flowers aside. When I looked up again, I met Jason's displeased gaze. He was dressed in a suit, his messy hair styled meticulously, and holding a takeaway breakfast in his hand. "You used to love roses, didn't you?" "But I don't like the ones you give me." I responded calmly, "How did you find me here?" He pursed his lips and said, "I found it by the address you used for your delivery orders." It reminded me that I had used his phone to order food before. He had teased me back then, calling it junk food. I gave him a cold glance and walked past him toward the elevator. Jason picked up the roses and followed me. "When are you moving back?" As the elevator doors were about to close, he impatiently asked. I stared at him coldly. "That's not my home anymore, why would I go back? Remember, we've broken up." "Are you angry because I gave the assistant manager position to Thera?" He stared at me intensely, his tone softening. "As long as you stop causing trouble, I'll promote you afterward. She's just in this position to gain experience, she won't stay long." Hearing that, I found it incredibly ironic. The position I had worked so hard for could be taken away with just a few words from someone else. It felt like all my efforts were a joke in his eyes. I met his gaze directly and spoke calmly, "No need. I don't want anything that's related to you anymore." I didn't want the position, I didn't want the ring. And I didn't want him. When Jason heard this, his face immediately darkened. Just then, the elevator reached the first floor. Ignoring his ugly expression, I walked out. When I arrived at the company, I saw Thera talking to Jason's assistant in the lobby. She smiled and greeted me when she saw me. "I heard you took the day off today. Are you feeling unwell?" As she spoke, she casually draped her bag over her arm. My eyes involuntarily landed on it, and I froze. It was the birthday gift Jason had said he'd get me last month. He was worried I wouldn't like it, so he asked me what I thought. Theron noticed my gaze and pretended to be coquettish. "This bag is from Jason. Isn't it nice? I was actually going to have him buy one for you too, but it's a limited edition, only 3 in the world. This is the last one." It was clear who was favored between the two of us. I gave a detached glance at the ring on her finger and the bag, and a faint smile tugged at my lips. "It's nice, really suits you. You two make a great match. I almost want to bring the wedding venue here so you can get married on the spot." Hearing my half-hearted compliment, Thera's smile almost faltered. "What are you even saying? You're Jason's girlfriend. Thanks to you, we just broke up. Your chance is here, make the most of it." I casually cheered her on, threw in a few perfunctory words, and headed upstairs. But because of this, I made up my mind, it was better to leave sooner rather than later. Out of sight, out of mind. That afternoon, I directly replied to the executive from the other company, clearly expressing my intent to join them. Now, all I had to do was prepare to report to my new company next Monday. Today was my parents' last day in a city. I had made a reservation at a restaurant to take them out for dinner. My mom even asked me, "Will Jason be joining us?" I shook my head. "We broke up. He won't be coming." Hearing that, my dad's tense expression finally eased. "It's good that you've come to your senses. You two were never on the same path. Forcing it would have led nowhere." His words were harsh, but true. When we first got together, both of our parents were against it. His parents thought our family was too ordinary, that we weren't a good match for them. It was only after my relentless efforts that I finally gained their approval. But I should have realized long ago, when someone truly loves you, they're willing to make an effort. Just like me, I didn't want to put him in a difficult position, so I went out of my way to win over his parents. But on my side, I had been fighting alone all along. I looked at my dad and promised seriously, "You're right. I won't make this kind of stupid mistake again." For once, our family set aside all other topics and simply enjoyed the meal. The next day, I personally saw my parents off. Word had already spread at my company that I was leaving. Since the CEO of my new company had personally negotiated my transition, there was no need for me to go back to Jason's company. So I arranged a meeting with a real estate agent to find a new place. Fortunately, this agent was reliable. I found a suitable apartment in just one day. It was close to my new company, only a 10-minute walk away. I was very satisfied. After signing the lease, I returned to my hotel to pack my things and move. I didn't expect that just as I finished packing and was about to order takeout, an old colleague called. She said, "Good thing you had the foresight to leave early. Otherwise, you'd be fuming right now." Confused, I asked why. She huffed indignantly, "That project you worked so hard to secure?" Thera snatched it. "Shameless. Just because she has someone backing her, she thinks she can do whatever she wants." Hearing that, I instantly recalled the project. I had originally felt a little guilty about leaving, thinking I should at least smooth things over for whoever took over. But after hearing this, I dismissed the idea completely. Whatever. If she wants it, she can have it. The client for that project was notoriously picky. With Thera's temperament, if no one was there to hold her hand, she'd have a hard time pulling it off. I chatted with my colleague for a while. As soon as I ended the call, an unknown number popped up on my screen. I meant to decline, but my finger slipped, and I accidentally answered. Jason's voice came through, tinged with irritation. "Are you really taking it this far? Looks like he had heard about me leaving the company and was calling to interrogate me. Think whatever you want. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. An ex should be like the dead, completely out of sight, out of mind. No lingering ties." With that in mind, I went into my phone settings and enabled automatic blocking for unknown numbers. After handling that, I felt an unexpected sense of relief. Before, no matter what I did, I was always unconsciously watching his reactions, afraid of upsetting him. Slowly, I had started to revolve around him, losing myself in the process. Even his own mother had warned me not to put so much focus on a man. Back then, I didn't take it seriously. Looking back now, wasn't she absolutely right? Living alone was actually great. I didn't have to care about anyone else's mood. I could do whatever I wanted. If I felt bored, I could go to the movies and immerse myself in a film without worrying about the time. I savored the freedom of living alone. And I never got tired of it. But good times never last. I was shocked to discover that my new neighbor had changed. Standing before me, all dressed up and glamorous, was Thera. The smile on my face gradually froze. In the silent corridor, the only sound was the drama playing from my phone. Thera looked equally surprised. "Why are you here?" I withdrew my gaze and, under her astonished stare, entered the passcode for my apartment and stepped inside. I had assumed a city was big enough that as long as I didn't intentionally create coincidences, we wouldn't cross paths. Who would have thought that after going in circles, I'd end up right back in the same place? Unbelievable. I forced myself not to dwell on it and continued with my daily routine. But just a few days later, I worked late one evening. And as I walked back, I spotted a familiar car parked outside the building. Thera and Jason stood beside it, talking about something. She looked visibly downcast. Jason, his expression gentle, lowered his head slightly as if comforting her. She soon noticed me, and without hesitation, threw herself into his arms. His body tensed for a moment, but he didn't push her away. They were standing right at the only entrance to the complex. If I wanted to go home, I had to pass through them. I watched them coldly and walked straight ahead. Jason noticed me and, looking guilty, quickly pushed Thera away and strode toward me. "You're misunderstanding. She's just..." "It has nothing to do with me," I interrupted coolly. "Move. You're in my way." "Isabel, after all this time, are you still mad at Jason?" Thera's eyes welled up, on the verge of spilling over, painting the picture of a victim. Annoyed, I snapped back, "What do you want? I already wished you too well, why keep acting in front of me?" "What are you implying?" Jason's gaze flickered between us in confusion. Thera's face stiffened, clearly panicked. "It's nothing." "Yeah, nothing," I said, my tone indifferent. "I just saw your sweet couple photos and sent my blessings." Jason didn't get it, but Thera did. Flustered, she hastily changed the subject. "Jason, isn't your mom waiting for you at the hospital? You should hurry and pick her up." Watching her guilty expression, I almost laughed. Jason hesitated but eventually shot me a long look before driving off. The moment he left, Thera glared at me viciously. "Don't think you can steal Jason from me. He's mine, always has been." I met her glare and waved her off dismissively. "Yep, he's all yours. I sincerely hope you two never break up." With that, I turned and went home. But the next morning, as I left for work, Jason was waiting outside the building. Seeing him approach, I immediately said, "I'm not Thera. Don't try to sweet-talk me. I came to see you." Jason's gaze held a trace of hurt as he held out a bag. "I went to your favorite breakfast place. You have stomach problems, you should eat something in the morning." "My stomach problems?" "They were all thanks to the nights I drank my way through business deals for his sake." Years passed, and he only remembered now. I curled my lips into a slight smirk. "Do you really think this is meaningful? I never wanted to break up. What happened before was my fault. I'll make it up to you, little by little. Please, give me another chance." He spoke earnestly, his eyes carrying a hint of caution. For once, I met his gaze seriously. "Did you think about Thera when you said that? You dote on her unconditionally, yet you come to me acting all affectionate. Jason, what exactly are you thinking? Do you think you're an emperor, entitled to have both?" His face turned pale, and he stammered, "I only see Thera as a sister. There's nothing romantic between us." Disgust churned in my stomach. "Have you ever seen a brother give his sister a ring? Honestly, if you like her so much, why not just marry her?" His eyes reddened slightly, and his voice trembled. "But you're my girlfriend." "I'm not. The moment you gave her that ring after standing me up, I stopped being your girlfriend." I thought I had made myself clear, but I never expected to receive an afternoon tea delivery from him later that day. Besides the drinks, there's also this. The delivery man carefully pulled a ring box from his pocket. It was the one I had seen in my closet before. "The guy who placed the order said it's for you." Realizing what was happening, I rejected it outright. The delivery man looked troubled. "This thing is really expensive." I was already nervous bringing it here. If you don't want it, please return it yourself. If it gets lost, I wouldn't be able to afford it even with 2 years' salary. As a fellow worker, I didn't want to make things hard for him. So, I took the ring box. But I didn't open it. I had no interest in keeping something that didn't belong to me. I originally planned to drop it off with Farah after work, only to find out she had moved away. The apartment across from mine was empty again. Left with no other choice, I had to add Jason back as a contact. As soon as he accepted my request, I got straight to the point, telling him to send someone to take the ring back. After all, I had worked at his company before, and many people there still knew me. If someone saw me returning the ring myself, who knows what kind of gossip would spread? Besides, it wouldn't be a good look if my current company caught wind of it either. But he simply said, "Didn't you like this ring? I made sure to get it back for you." Reading that message, my anger flared. He still didn't get it. I don't want it. Find someone to take it back immediately, or I'll throw it away. He didn't reply. Instead, I received a text from his mother, asking to meet the next day. The location was a cafe right across the street from my new company. I figured it wouldn't hurt to meet her, after all, I could return the ring to her just the same. So, I agreed. The next afternoon, I arrived at the cafe, unhurried. As soon as she saw me, she greeted me with a warm smile. "Come, I ordered your favorite coffee for you." I smiled back and thanked her, sitting down just as she got straight to the point. "I heard you'd been talking about breaking up with Jason. Is that true?" "It's not just talk. I'm serious," I responded with a smile. Her expression faltered with disappointment. "I actually really like you. I was hoping you and Jason would stay together. I know what happened recently, and you're right to be upset. He was in the wrong. What he did was too disappointing. Breaking up was the only logical choice." She had hinted many times before, subtly urging Jason to get married, but he always dodged the topic, making it clear that he resisted the idea. She let out a heavy sigh. "It's our fault, really. We wasted 4 years of your time. That's why I chose to let go. Two people who don't fit shouldn't force it." With that, I pulled the ring box from my bag and placed it in front of her. "Please take this back. We'd broken up. It wouldn't be appropriate for me to keep it." Her expression flickered with a trace of hope. "He gave you a ring, that means he's finally considering marriage. Why don't you give it another try?" I smiled faintly and shook my head. He himself said the ring was just an ordinary piece of jewelry with no special meaning. Besides, I don't love him anymore. I was looking forward, and I had no intention of turning back. The glimmer of hope in Mrs. Zhao's eyes was instantly extinguished. She took the ring back and muttered, "All right then. A girl like you deserves better." Returning the ring lifted a weight off my chest. Like the delivery man had said, that ring was expensive. If it got lost, I wouldn't be able to afford it either. But that night, Jason sent me a voice message. He sounded drunk, murmuring, "Are you really not willing to give me even the slightest chance? Are you just going to throw away 4 years of our relationship? The one who gave up first wasn't me, it was you." I had no interest in arguing with a drunk. I simply left him with one final reminder. "Mr. Jason, I hope we can part on good terms. Let's both move forward and stop looking back." We were adults. And adults should take responsibility for their choices. They should also understand that not everything comes with a second chance. With no emotional entanglements holding me back, I poured all my focus into my work. The company president wanted to promote me, but my credentials weren't as strong as other candidates, so he hesitated. Eventually, he approached me directly. "Would you be willing to study abroad? The company will cover all expenses, but you'll need to sign a contract, no employment at other companies for the next 20 years. In short, they were securing me as their asset. They'd invest in my development, and in return, I'd generate value for them." "All right, I'll go. You don't want to discuss it with your family first?" I smiled. "They'll support my decision." "What about your boyfriend?" "I don't have a boyfriend." That ended the conversation. He simply told me to prepare for my departure. I informed my parents about it. Just as I expected, they were fully supportive. In my life, there was only one thing I had done that truly disappointed them. That was stubbornly choosing to be with Jason, losing myself in the process. Now that I had finally broken free, no one was happier than they were. With their encouragement, I began handling the necessary paperwork for my departure. But then, Jason found out about my decision to go abroad. Once again, he came looking for me. When I got home from work, I saw him waiting outside my apartment complex. I felt an instant wave of irritation. "What do you want now?" Jason hesitated, his expression cautious. "Are you going abroad because of me?" I looked at him with pure disdain. "Don't flatter yourself. This has nothing to do with you. Then why are you suddenly leaving? You never mentioned anything about. You never truly understood me. You never truly liked me. So, Jason, why bother pretending now?" His face darkened, and he rushed to explain, "Who says I don't like you? Isabel, I know I hurt you before, but I was with you because I genuinely liked you." If he had said that years ago, I might have been touched. But now, it just felt laughable. "So what if you like me? Do I have to like you back? Jason, have some self-awareness. Stop bothering me." With that, I walked past him without a second thought and entered my apartment complex. I would be abroad for 3 years. Keeping my current rental would be a waste of money. So, I contacted my landlord and explained the situation. Fortunately, she was an understanding person and had no issues with it. My annual rent was changed to a monthly payment, which would end by the end of this month. When my former colleague heard that I was going abroad, she specially called to wish me well. We chatted for a bit before she inevitably started talking about office gossip. "The project you were working on fell through, as expected. Honestly, they only agreed to cooperate with us because of you. It was the company's fault for suddenly switching people at the last minute. When the clients raised concerns, that bitch Thera caused a huge scene, yelling at them for having no vision. It got so bad that they might have even blacklisted our company." Listening to her complaints, I leisurely sipped my fruit tea while watching a drama, completely relaxed. "It's fine. It's not your fault anyway. Just focus on doing your job. If management wants to blame someone, it won't be you." That's true, but her assistant wasn't so lucky. They fired her for neglecting her duties. She was so furious that she immediately filed for labor arbitration. Who knows if she'll be able to clear her name? Hearing that, I felt a pang of sympathy. Thera's assistant was actually quite capable. When she was an intern, she even worked under me for a while. She was diligent and responsible, so of course, she wouldn't just take this lying down. But what I didn't expect was that, after hearing about it in the afternoon, I saw that same assistant live streaming about the incident that very night, demanding a proper explanation from the company. A lot of people had experienced similar situations, so within minutes, the livestream had tens of thousands of viewers. The comment section was filled with people condemning Jason's company. Everyone was calling Jason a ruthless businessman. But soon, the assistant revealed the full story, and the public's anger was no longer just aimed at Jason, it was also directed at the real culprit, Thera. You guys don't know this, but our department's deputy manager was originally supposed to be another highly qualified woman. But that bitch stole her position and even forced her to resign. Under immense pressure, the company was forced to issue a public apology, but it didn't do much to appease the outrage. Out of options, Jason called me, asking me to help clarify the situation. I scoffed. Did she say a single word that was false? Why should I lie to cover up your mistakes? I sneered and hung up without waiting for his response. The company's reputation continued to plummet, affecting its stock prices. Frustrated shareholders started voicing their dissatisfaction. After much deliberation, Jason ultimately chose the company over Thera. Not long after, I saw the company issue a statement announcing Thera's dismissal and their intent to hold her accountable for the damage to their reputation. Thera was furious and tried to get her family involved to pressure the company. But while they were busy fighting amongst themselves, I was already on a plane heading overseas. My new life officially began. The CEO was surprisingly considerate, worried that I might struggle in a foreign country. He arranged for his cousin, who lived there, to pick me up. Though the CEO was a balding middle-aged man, his cousin turned out to be incredibly handsome. When I saw the tall and striking man in front of me, I was momentarily stunned. "You're Lambert? And you must be Isabel? After confirming our identities, he took my suitcase and strode toward the airport exit. Seeing that, I quickly followed. The CEO had arranged for me to stay in a single-person apartment. It wasn't large, but it felt secure and cozy. I glanced around the place, satisfied. Lambert set down my luggage and pointed to the apartment next door. I live right there. Let me know if you need anything. Thank you. He gave me a deep look before turning to leave. I didn't think much of it and started unpacking. At first, adjusting to a foreign country was difficult, and I even experienced some discomfort from the change in environment. Luckily, Lambert was around. He handled everything with ease. I later found out that he was an interpreter who frequently traveled between different countries, which was why he was so experienced with these things. One day, after a long day at work, Lambert invited me over for a barbecue party at his place. He had a lot of friends, all of whom were warm and welcoming. At first, I was a little reserved, but as I spent more time with them, I gradually got used to it. Suddenly, my phone vibrated in my pocket. I excused myself and stepped into a room to take the call. It was my former colleague. Hope I'm not bothering you? I glanced at the city lights outside the window and smiled. Not at all. What's up? I just wanted to tell you. Mr. Jason. She lowered her voice, as if hiding from someone. I just overheard something. Apparently, Jason's lost his mind lately. He's been wandering around a certain neighborhood, drunk, muttering someone's name. I wasn't going to mention it, but people found out that you used to live there, so now they're speculating that you had some kind of relationship with him. After hearing that, I remained unfazed. I replied calmly, that's nonsense. I barely know him. Just then, Lambert's voice called out from outside the room. Isabel, the barbecue's ready. Come on out. Coming. I responded, then told my colleague, someone's calling me. I'll hang up now. Ending the call, I looked up, only to find Lambert's smiling gaze meeting mine. My new life should never be disturbed by the past. End.